Optional variables tell the compiler that the variable is either storing a value or storing nothing, which is really useful when you need placeholders for potential unknown values. Let's create an example of an optional variable. Let's use the var keyword, resources. Let's give the type string. Now we'll give a value. We could decide not to give a value, or we could decide to. But for you to have an optional, that's to test that this is null, not null, you use the question mark. Use the question mark. That gives the impression that this is optional. So now let's try to assign a variable, a value to this by calling it column byte. So we'll assign a value to an optional variable over there. So now we could also create another optional variable. Let's give a var is valuable. I'll get a boolean. Also give it an optional. Now we don't need a value. So that depicts that the is valuable is optional, while the resource is also optional. Now let's try to print out these values and see what we have. Resources. Same thing goes with value is valuable. Let's get to see what you can see. We have a yellow warning saying expression implicitly coerced from string to any, being that it's optional. And if we should look at the value we have underneath, we're having it as optional. This is not a pure text. It's not a pure string. So we have to do something to make this usable or readable, like a pure text that we should have. Because when printing out an optional value, it's not going to print out the pure value. So we need to do the unwrapping. And we have two forms of unwrapping. We have the force unwrap and the optional binding. We'll be talking about the optional binding when we are looking at the control flows. But presently, let's do a quick fix using a force unwrapping. And what we're going to do, we just need to add a question mark over here to tell us that, okay, we are fine. This is not null. We've tried to unwrap this, okay, because it's actually a nil value, so boolean to any, so that's fine. But now for the resources, for the string, you could see how we'll force unwrap it to actually take off the optional aspect, because the reason of optional is that this value could be null. So for us not to have some exception that we usually have in languages like Java, null pointer exception, this is going to be handled. So you have to first of all test for the nullity before you actually get the value out of it. So before you probably force unwrap, or you do an optional binding to it. So thank you very much for hanging out with me. In the next video, we'll be talking about the Swift arrays.